Hey guys, welcome back to Eyes on Leafs.
Most depressing
We're here
episode
again.
we're ever gonna record.
We are here again. Let's go Blue Jays.
That's,
Oh,
hey,
no.
you know what? No, they're battling
So
for
Blue
second
Jays?
in the AL East right now.
I limit myself
AL East
to
is
Terrible
awful.
division this year, but it's kind of working in their favor.
I limit myself to one disappointing team.
Mm.
I'm not even a baseball.
Well, the
fan.
Jays won't even make the playoffs, so it's all right.
Anyways,
Jays are gritty this year.
We're shit. That's what we are.
let's
okay.
stay on topic.
Yeah,
One shitty Toronto
like most
team
of
at a time.
Toronto, most Toronto sports are shit right now. But, anyways,
Scepters.
yeah,
Even
I
their
don't.
playoff chokers, dude. It's
Even
bad.
Coke.
The Scepters, yeah, didn't they get reverse swept last year in the
Dude,
final?
Even
Yeah,
their
'cause
playoff chokers.
Not
it's
even the
terrible.
final. It was the first round, man.
Was it the first round they got reverse? I thought they were in the final.
They won. They won 2 games. Then Natalie Spooner got injured. They never won again.
That's true. No,
Dude, we have never once mentioned the PWHL on this pod and the Leafs losing game 7. We were like talking about everything else about sports but what happened and what we're here to talk about. So I'm going to pull us
You guys see
back
that
on the
Yamal
rails
goal?
here. Yeah, the Lamine Yamal is crazy. I'm going to grab us and yank us back onto the rails here and force us to talk about this.
Avoidance.
What else is new? Another Game 7 loss, another terrible performance in Game 7. We don't really have an outline for this pod. I gotta be honest, I procrastinated in making it, and here we are.
Need one.
We don't need one.
Can't stop laughing.
I just realized I had like my gamer headset mic down, bro.
That thing is not on.
All right, we're gonna figure it out here. I'm gonna try to keep these two on track because I don't think they have any focus in them right now.
Gamer
Neither
headset
did the Leafs
corner.
at Game 7.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll start with the game. This will be really brief because there's not much to talk about. They were terrible. Every single player on the ice was not good enough. I don't think one guy had a good game.
Terrible first 10 minutes. Like that set the tone for the rest of the game. I'm sorry. Even though they responded in the last 10 minutes of the period, it set the tone for the rest of the game. Like they got dragged up and down the ice the first 10 minutes. It was brutal.
The thing that's disappointing is that when the whole point of a road team's first period in the playoffs is always survive the first 10 minutes and then you get into the game. And it completely flipped. Leafs survived the first 10 minutes and then they get into the game.
It's
Two
just
breakaway opportunities with Lawton Lorentz. They kill a penalty at the end of the first period and you're looking good going to second and then they just fell apart.
like I don't know what you can even blame it on. Like, is it nerves? I don't know. They went into game 6 and dominated the first 10 minutes of the
But
game.
it doesn't matter, dude. It
It's
doesn't matter because it does not matter because we've seen these guys do it every single time where they 4-7. You will not beat them in 6.
In our group chat, I called it.
Yep.
Like I called,
Yeah.
I called the Matthews goal in Game 6 too.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah, I believe in
called
this
it.
team. I believe that they had a chance to win that game right down to I think it was the Luis Serena goal to make it 4-1. At that
Yeah.
point, I was like, "This is over." But
No, that
I
goal-
thought it
basically-
was over. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was over when Seth Jones scored the first goal because
Well,
when you
here's the
get behind
thing.
on Florida, you really can't come back.
that's
It's
true.
tough,
I
man.
was feeling that when Seth Jones scored, but I was also thinking, okay, they pulled it off against Ottawa. They
Ottawa attacks.
True. But with Toronto
Mm-hmm.
doing it against fucking Chicago in the playoffs would be a success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I saw them do it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, okay, you go down a goal here. Obviously, there's the lost context of I had already watched Game 5, and this is a Game 7, and it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'm like, okay, I still believe. And I'm at Maple Leaf Square for this game. First
Yeah,
time
you're
we're gone,
surrounded-
I'm never going again.
You're
Like, that's
surrounded
enough.
by like passion too, dude. The square gets you, The
Dude,
square
I
really
was
gets
not
you.
surrounded by passion, dude. I was surrounded by a bunch
Yeah.
of angry fuckers. Oh my god, everybody was so pissed off.
Fair though. I mean,
Yeah,
Deservedly
dude,
so, man. You spend
for
your
me-
night getting down there, like
I was pissed off.
for me,
yeah, you should be.
for me, it was over the second that was it Lundell or Luosterainen that got the 3-0 goal, whatever it was, that deflection.
Jonah Gadjevich.
It was Gadjevich.
It was
not?
Gadjevich.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, Gadjevich.
Luosterainen
The
scored the
second-
fourth goal in the deflection.
The second that tip went in, and I saw Joseph Woll let that in and not really be. I don't know, Mateo, you're the goalie. I don't know if he has a chance on that goal, but like seeing that.
I'll get into
sweep through
Joseph Wool's
him,
game once we're done
I,
breaking it down because I have some thoughts on it. But yeah, keep going, Seb, and then I'll get into Wool. I think that
I
I want to get into it before we get too deep because I think eventually it's going to pass on and we won't talk about it. But I do want to talk about his game.
Yeah, no, I think the second that 3-0 goal went in, it was just like they're done. The season's over. Like even 2-0, even though it's the Panthers, it's like Game 7 is Game 7, man. It would be the leafiest thing ever for them to come back from like a 2-0. And I said it in the video I posted yesterday too. It's like this core was gonna live or die on a Game 7. It was always destined to be that way. And the second that 3 goal went in, they died. And Domi gets that 3-1 goal on like a pretty bad Bobrovsky read there. Like
Dude,
he should have had that.
Bobrovsky was so bad in
He
this
sh-
series.
he
Like
should have had that.
He wasn't so bad. He just people. I don't know. He gets glazed a lot, and like I just don't think he was that good. Like I feel like Florida played a really good defensive game. Toronto played a really shit offensive game. Then when Toronto had it, they scored.
I
30
disagree
seconds
with
into the series,
you.
man. Like fuck.
I would disagree with you. I think games 4 through 7, he was very good. I think game 4, you look at it, dude. Game 4, we had opportunities and he shut the door. It's sometimes when you're a goalie in the NHL or just a goalie in general, and your team is outplaying the other team so badly, like we did in game 4, it's still very important you shut the door because if you remember game 4. I believe it was. There was Matthew Nyes that has a breakaway, or not breakaway, a backhand opportunity right in the slot.
Or
was it game 3?
sorry,
it was
are
game
you talking
4.
about the goal he scored?
No, I'm talking about
okay,
the
sorry. Yeah.
the save he makes in game 4 at the start of the third period. Yeah. And the Leafs are still hanging around in that game. Joseph Wool staying on his head, and he shuts the door.
Hey.
And he does it. Game 5,
Game 7,
same thing.
Game 7.
I was going to
I
get
don't
there.
know.
I
I jumped the gun by saying he was shit. He wasn't shit. I just think he wasn't like what's the word? I'm like legendary. He wasn't Bobrovsky. You know what I mean? He was beatable.
Game stealing.
He wasn't game stealing. He did his job. What you're describing is he did his job. He made saves.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he faced like that Matthews goal. That was a good shot by Matthews. Probably should have had it. And now I'm depressed because I said the Matthews goal, and like there's only one option.
You know exactly which one it is.
He scored once.
Dude, it's kind of sad that that's the biggest goal of his NHL career.
Who gives a fuck?
Name a bigger goal in his career. I can't.
The 60th.
I can't name a bigger goal in his career.
That goal genuinely matters more.
That goal against Columbus in game 2 or game 3 was it?
That's not even close to me.
I'm realizing how
close.
upset I am now.
Yeah.
First goal against Ottawa in game 6.
I think the only one that comes close is the go-ahead goal in Game 6 versus Tampa when they won. That's the only one that comes close. But even then, this one, I think that goal was bigger because it puts you... That was the game-winning goal to put you win one game of the conference final. Like, that's the biggest goal he scored.
It's later in
the
playoffs.
And it's kind of sad that...
Okay, well, let's save this. Let's save this because I think we're going to go more into a... kind of like a review of the core 4 because it truly is an era over, era wasted. I'm writing an article right now, the end of the most disappointing era in Leafs hockey.
You could argue it's like you could argue this is one of the most disappointing eras like in NHL history. I really can't think like it's up there.
I think you gotta look at like the Jets in the '80s when you have Dale Hawerchuk and you have all those guys and you just run into the Oilers.
Nordiques, they built a good team, then they leave and immediately win the cup.
It's up there.
Yeah, the one thing about the Nordiques was that a big part of that cup win was Patrick Roy, and if the Nordiques were still in Quebec, they never get Patrick Roy because the Montreal's not trading him to Quebec. Like,
dude, I'm telling you, it's up there. They've had the Buffalo Sabres have more series wins than the Maple Leafs since 2004.
Yeah,
this is one of the most disappointing eras.
Let's save it. Stay on the game. I mean, they got killed in the second period. Everything just trounced. Like, it wasn't even remotely close. Third period, just absolutely nothing. But
because they were dead. They died.
Dude, no one had a good game.
They died the second the Seth Jones goal went in. Like, it was over.
Like,
honestly,
I am going to have my Mitch Marner rant later. Okay. But I want to say right now, yelling at the team when you were down 3 in the second period. Where was that for the last 6 fucking years, dude?
Yeah.
Where was that? Where was it earlier in the
because
game when it
suddenly-
was within reach?
Suddenly
Back it up by
something
hitting that's
for
over.
that. Because suddenly his existence as a Toronto Maple Leaf was threatened, and he had to blame outwardly instead of looking at a fucking mirror like he should have done for the last 8 years.
And I'm going to talk about Matthews too, because I think his post game, while I thought it was truthful, and I do respect that, because I think we've heard a lot of PR bullshit from these guys in the past.
100%.
After they've lost, but I think, and everyone knows the quote I'm talking about. It's the Passengers quote. I think there's something to be talked about there too with him, because we'll get into it. I just want to sit on the game. So listen, they got killed. Nothing good came out of it. I want to talk about Joseph Woll. This will be my mini goalie corner for today. I thought while he got hung out to dry, I think a little bit by this team, I do think I was disappointed with his game overall. My camera is awful right now. Anyways, I was disappointed with his game. I thought sometimes you need your goalie in a big game to make a save he shouldn't make, and I don't think there was one save that comes to mind where I'm like, holy shit, dude, you like that should be in the back of the net. And I think
Are you talking about just game 7?
Yeah, and I'll talk about the series in general later, but I want to stick with the game. Yeah, I thought first 10 minutes he played well, but I thought the team blocked a lot of shots too. Like they kind of got in front of a lot. They didn't give up a lot of high danger chances. I thought after the first period they were in a good position. They had better scoring chances than Florida. They defensively, I thought there was mistakes in the breakout, which there usually are with the team. But you know what? Once the puck was in their zone, there wasn't a whole lot that Florida had. And then it opened up in the second period, and I thought first Seth Jones' goal, I mean, good shot. I don't think he was square to the shot, though. But at the same time, Mo, terrible pinch, blows a tire. He's in alone.
Mo does have a terrible pitch, but the pass on that play was taken away. Like, the shot's coming.
Yeah,
it's still a good shot. Like,
it was a perfect shot.
It clips the bottom of the bar. He puts it right in the corner, blocker side. It's a good shot.
Don't get me wrong.
I still wouldn't lay that at his feet. I wouldn't lay that at his feet. I think that's a great shot. I think I'm trying to think. What was the second goal now? And I'm blanking.
Honest to God, Joseph Woll is like near bottom of my list in terms of people I blame for this game, because like in the series in general, he did what he had to do. I think for the most part.
I thought I was disappointed in him. I think in this series in general, and I'll tell you why. But I just want to stick with it. I thought the fourth goal, Lucerinen, you need to make that save.
That was
Max Domi just scores. You're back in the game. The crowd is, and there's so much I want to get to today. We're gonna talk about the fans because I hate
we're gonna talk about that.
The narrative.
The rant I went on in that video.
Yeah,
I can't deal with it. It's like
just to refresh your memory. Goal number 2 was Anton Lundell. He just parked right up front. Like, Woll gives up a pretty juicy rebound right to the slot.
Yeah,
nobody's on Lundell. I think that's.
Yeah,
I was watching that back. Yeah, McCabe had a tough game. McCabe was just kind of caught in like no man's land, covering nobody.
You need help for. I wasn't expecting a shutout coming to Game 7. Like, you're obviously not going to... I don't think it's fair to expect that at all. So you're going to let in goals. I thought the first goal not his fault. Second goal, rebound control could be a bit better, but, I mean, no one's covering Lundell in front of the net. How do you miss Anton Lundell?
Third goal, again, I think it was another Morgan Rice.
And the Gadjevich... the problem I had with Gadjevich is that when you slide across your crease, you got to bring your stick with you. Always bring your stick with you. Unless it's a complete desperation where you're like literally diving to the other post, you bring your stick with you. Woll leaves it back behind him, and Gadjevich slides it through his 5-hole. And I make a save, man. Make a save. I like I said earlier before I started this rant, sometimes you need your goalie to make a huge save that he probably shouldn't make, and that was the one for me. If you keep within 2 goals, I don't know. You get one. It's a 1-goal game. You're back in it. I think the third goal kind of capped it off where I was really like, okay, it's really over. Because I thought it was over after the first goal, but, like, just like that glimmer of hope, like, okay, it's one goal. Like, I know it's going to be insanely difficult, but you never know.
Yeah, I
Second
think, like,
goal still, like...
I think, like Seb said, Wool is pretty far down my list on who I blame for this game.
Yeah.
Like, even on a greater scale, maybe there's something with the mindset that comes from, top down in that dressing room. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
listen, dude, it's his first game 7 too. Like we all see him under pressure, and he's great.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's his first game 7. You don't know what that feeling's like until you get there.
For sure.
And I am so sick of them saying, "Oh, it's a learning experience." But I think there's a couple people where when they say it, I'm like, okay. And I think that's Matthew Nyes. I think it's Matthew Nyes, and I think it's Joseph Wool, and those are the only two where I'm like, okay, like whatever.
The
rest of them, and if you notice, you know what?
Tavares,
The rest of them, you know what? They haven't said learning experiences. I think they know that it's over.
They understand.
Sorry, what do you mean outside John Tavares? He's the one who does it the most.
No. I was gonna say outside of John Tavares, they've had I'm talking about the 4 guys with Morgan
the 3
Riley.
guys.
They've had
4
6
guys,
game
yeah.
7s, including this
Yeah.
one. This was their 6th game 7. Of
But even
every
JT,
single
dude,
one.
like
JT 's been here
you've
for
played in
most.
game
JT,
7.
no, JT too. I just meant
Yeah.
just for that, they've had 6 game 7s on this team.
Okay,
JT's had, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact, but I'm sure he's had a couple with New York. But
Yeah.
I think the Florida series.
Well,
went to
didn't he
7.
score? Didn't he? Yeah, he scored that wraparound in overtime against
I
Florida in
think
game
that one
7
went to
to win the
7.
series.
But
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Listen, I was just kind of disappointed in Wool. I kind of expected a little bit more from him. I thought, there's a couple goal the game's over anyways. It's 4-1, but the Reinhardt goal, through a screen maybe, but dude, come on, man, please.
How different does the series go if Stolars is healthy?
I don't think it's that different, dude. I think at the end of the day, listen, you could. The one thing I will say is that the puck handling does make a big difference.
I was gonna say that was huge.
And Wool does not do a good job because he doesn't come out enough, and when he does, it's late. His reads to get behind the net are atrocious. I'm watching games and watching guys like Forsling and Mikula wind up to take slap shots from center ice to rim it around the boards. And I'm like, that's coming, dude. Get out there.
Dude, the amount of times that I saw Joseph Wool go behind the net, holds onto the puck for a solid 3 or 4 seconds, just launches it up the boards along the glass, and lands right in the Florida defender's
I'm
stick.
sorry, dude. That's also on the Leafs too, though.
No,
Give
it's
him an option.
it's just
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that, dude, because you know what? When you get back there and that 4-to-4 check is so good, your only option is to rim it around the glass. And when you rim it around the glass, it's going to happen sometimes where it lands at the defenseman's skates. Where I have a problem with is I don't think he goes out enough to play it. Yeah. And I think you see that. You saw how it affected the Leafs defenseman, particularly Chris Tanev, who absorbed so many hits this playoffs. And when you have a guy like Stolars who could he's like a third defenseman. You get behind the net, you move the puck, or you just stop it and leave it, pull it off the boards, leave it for your defenseman. Yeah. One, they take a lot less pressure on the forecheck because you're not going to be able to hit a guy who's rounding the net unless you catch it, turn around the other side, and it would be a monster hit. Yeah. But also, it's not just that; it's also vocally. It's been a big story this year how loud Stolars is back there, and he'll yell at you. And I think that it helps so much, especially when you go up against a team like Florida with their forecheck, where you're gonna get hit every time you go behind the boards. But listen, or behind the net, sorry. But listen, that's the only aspect where I thought it could have been any different. I'm sorry, I don't see Stolars. As a puck stopper purely, I really don't think Joseph Wool had a terrible series. I thought he had bad moments, and I think that if Stolars is in, I don't think they win the series because guess what? That no goalie is winning you that game. The effort that he gave in that team gave in Game 5 was atrocious.
Nobody's winning
the effort they gave.
Oh my god.
Nope.
The Game 5 and Game 7, there's a lot of parallels to be drawn there. We talked. Actually, no, we didn't talk. Sorry, but Joseph Wool had a couple stinkers in Game 5 too. Which is what it is. But at the end of the day, the Leafs played a atrocious game in front of him. Just both games.
Dude, they didn't score in Game 5. It doesn't. You could put prime Dominic Hasek in there, and they're not winning that game.
And it's the same
and guess
thing.
what? You know what? He stole you a game, but you guys were so pathetic that you could not score in Game 4. That was a game that he stole for you, and you didn't show up.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm
incredible
sick
that
I'm
game.
sick of it. He gave you that game, and in game 3, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
But you know what? They played well, and I've said this to people like in game 3. I was like, fuck. You know what? It is what it is. Bad bounce. You lose that game in overtime. It is what it is. You move on to you played well. But then they come out and they play like they did in game 4, game 5, and game 7, and that is the worst 3-game stretch of hockey I've seen this team play ever.
The pressure thing was like, it's just non-existent because like even after game 3, nobody was really upset. And
dude, how could you be upset?
We all knew it, dude. It's the defending Stanley Cup champions. Like they're gonna, you lose
in overtime off a bad bounce. Like, it is what it is. Like that.
Even game 4 was like that's a shit game, and I'm still. It's okay. The series is tied.
You're tied with the Cup champs. Like you can't really ask for more. Like we all said it. It's a best of 3 series at this point.
Dude, at the start of the series, I was like,
you have home ice advantage. Oh.
We
see you now. You're good.
Okay, let me leave the call because I think my mic did. Oh wait, hold on. Can I change it here? Yeah, it did. My mic disconnected.
Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Yeah, I'm on my MacBook. Like, let me leave the call and rejoin. I'm sorry about that. I got so fired up, I hit the wire and it messed it up. We have gone through pretty much a game-by-game breakdown of the series, Wool, and Game 7. And I think, I don't know. I don't think there's much more to talk about within the hockey in general. I think a lot more of it's kind of looking back at how
on the core 4 yet. We gave Joseph Wool a hard time.
That's gonna get there. Trust me, dude. It's staying there because I want to talk about the era as a whole because I think this series kind of encapsulates this era perfectly.
Okay.
And I think, and you know what? I'm gonna get there now because
let's we have to do like a jump back in because we
you're right.
Paused, right?
You're right. Not bad. Are we good? Okay. Now I want to get to the core 4. I think everyone was talking about them, and I think we leading with Joseph Wool, I think was a little bit weird, but I just wanted to get all the not even minor, but the other details out of the way before we go into this because I think the rest of this
we didn't
episode
even really talk about like bottom 6 or anything. But
dude,
I don't think they're really.
Yeah, but what do you want them to do, man? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Dude, they gave you goals, man.
I thought they had a strong game in Game 7 too.
Dude, Scott Laughton was one of the only. Scott Laughton and like Max Domi were like the only two.
Lorentz had a breakaway.
Really were like Lorentz in the first, but
really frustrating to me because we already talked about the first period, but coming out of that first period, Florida did not look good. Their defense was making mistakes. How do you let Stephen Lorentz get behind you on a breakaway, man?
And Laughton too, dude. They were getting caught flat-footed at their own blue line, and that's how the Leafs were capitalizing on it, but they didn't score. I think.
Oh, I should also mention this. Simone Benoit, what are you thinking on that too many men? What are you doing?
Yeah, that was stupid. That's the shit that always loses them these games, man. I'm telling you, it's the mental lapses that lose them these series, and this is why they never win anything.
And it sucks because he had such a good postseason. Yeah. Like genuinely, he was.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, I don't think it takes away that much because they killed it anyways. Like I don't know.
It didn't have that much effect.
Dude, honestly, that kill helped them. Like that gave them some momentum. After that kill was when they started like getting their.
Well, no, it was at the end of the period, was it not?
Yeah, it was right at the end of the period.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But anyways, I want to talk about the core 4 now, and I want to leave the core 4 in general because I think the core 4 isn't the criticism that we're about to go into with the core 4. It doesn't just start and end with the Florida series. This has been.
It's 9 years.
You know, I wanted to give it say 7 because I thought, Washington.
Maybe the first 2 you get.
The first 2 or 3, you're like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. I say 6 years of pure misery and disappointment and losers finding a way to lose because that's honestly what it was and that's what it'll be remembered as because you know what, you come into this. I want to start from the beginning with the core 4 because you come into this franchise where you are so awful from 2000 after the 2004 lockout to up until these guys got drafted, because even when they made the playoffs in 2013, that team was
They were
atrocious.
Cinderella.
That
run,
team,
whatever.
if that is a full season that was not shortened by lockout, that team is not making the playoffs.
Yeah, they got carried from a James Ryan
And
hot streak.
what they provided Leafs fans was a taste of the postseason again, and also one of the most embarrassing, gut-wrenching, heartbreaking losses you will see in sports
Still
history.
haunts them to this day. I think the pressure from that series has like infected
This
guys to this
organization.
day, which is ridiculous. I'm not. It's not an
Dude,
excuse.
there's not
and it
one
shouldn't
player on
be,
that
'cause it
team
was
that is playing for
2015.
this one.
No,
Yeah, I know, but it because it's the noise and the fan pressure.
noise.
It's
No,
a thing,
no,
especially those
dude.
Boston series.
Dude,
I don't
shut
think it helped.
shut up about the noise and the pressure. I'm gonna get to that too.
I'm
Anyways.
saying I don't. I'm not saying it's valid. I think it's stupid, but I do think it's something that was in their heads.
Anyways, recovering from there, you have a terrible year after 2013. Terrible year after, terrible until you draft Matthews. Throughout this, you draft Mo. Mo was 2013. He was in the organization for that. Mo, Nylander, Marner, Matthews. Those were the guys you draft. And you somehow hit on all of them, which is, I don't think a lot of people understand how rare it is for you to hit
Underrated, yeah.
on an 8, a 4, and then a 1, because sometimes it just
Especially-
doesn't work out.
Especially Riley from
Yeah.
that 2012 class.
Because he didn't
Like,
play. He didn't play.
He's arguably the best player from that 2012 top 5.
He did not play a
Yeah.
game. Brian Burke said he got hurt in his draft year. Excuse me. Brian Burke saw one game of him play, and he said, "This is the guy we want," and he was right.
Yeah.
And
somehow
the guy who has been here from the beginning before all these guys, the puppet master of this absolute unmitigated disaster is Brendan Shanahan. Who-
Sorry,
Looking at the
before you
2012
before you
draft class
before you
right
get sorry, yeah, but before you get to Shanahan, can I just I said he's debatably the best pick.
No,
he's by
like-
far the best pick
Who-
here.
who's the
Nail
top five?
Yakupov, Ryan Murray, Alex Galchenyuk, and Griffin Reinhart
Oh my
were the
god.
top 4. And then it goes to
But-
Riley.
Hampus Lindholm was 6th, though, right?
Yeah, then Hampus Lindholm,
You could argue
Matt
he's better than Mo.
Dumba, Derek Pouliot.
Okay, let's get off the
Yeah,
hockey
sorry.
DB. You got plenty of time for that this summer, sub.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're back to where I
Second
was. The
coming up.
puppet master of the most egregious, unmitigated disaster that I have ever seen in hockey, Brendan Shanahan, who should have been fired years ago. He should have been absolute joke. He is the reason why these guys stuck together for so long, and he's out of contract. We'll see what happens. No one really knows what the Leafs are doing right now in terms of front office and everything else.
I do
And-
find it odd that Brad Treliving didn't have anything with the media availability today, because from what I remember, normally those are same day. Like they'll start with the GM.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
they
I
move to
think Luke
coach, then
Fox was
players.
on Sportsnet show Kipper and Bourne, and he was saying that, I believe it was Kipper and Bourne, and he was saying that he doesn't know if Treliving could also get fired, and there's a lot of balls up in the air right now, and it's just
Dude.
and
That would make no sense at all.
Okay.
I agree.
He's
That would be doing too much,
And he's
because
done
you're,
good
you're
work here,
firing.
too.
well, you know,
he's
what
had
they're
2
saying
years
is
and he's
that
done
they're
a
saying.
solid job.
I think I was hearing who else said this. I was listening to, I think the Chris Johnson show as well, and he was saying that it could just be a clean sweep of everyone, and it just is what it
I
is.
don't mind that.
And I think another report
'Cause,
that I
mean,
heard, this
the
is from
sorry, dude, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but I think the alternative is you fire Shanahan and you kick Treliving upstairs, right? Which,
Well, I think
do that 'cause,
no,
yo-
because what you could also do is you could fire Shanahan, and then Treliving is also just GM and vice president, where he just directs reports to
That's what I
ownership,
was
and
going
that
to say.
happens.
I think I have a feeling that's what's happening, and they're going to try and eliminate that middleman between ownership and the GM, and just
or
have the
or
direct
what we see,
relationship.
and this is these two guys are amazing GM and vice president. Sakic and McFarland. I think maybe you could see maybe
Brandon Pridham,
I was just about to say that Pridham gets promoted to GM, who has been in the front office for a long time. He gets credited a lot with the cap
Yeah.
stuff, and
My
I think he's had looks. I think people have wanted him or
I mean, yeah, if you want to
surprised
keep
he's not
Brandon
in
Pridham
Pittsburgh.
around.
well,
Yeah,
I think the reason why he wasn't in Pittsburgh is because I don't think you're forced to allow guys to go unless it's I think that the rule, the unwritten rule in the NHL is you keep all your guys unless they're up for a promotion. And the promotion for Pridham would have been GM, right? And Dubas wanted that role, so that's why he's not in Pittsburgh, I don't think. But
but I just want to say, I think moving on from like tree living would be.
Yeah,
I don't see how that makes any sense on, even if you want to go with like a clean slate, whatever. I think you can start your clean slate with him. He's done a really good job on this team, and I think he would have moved off of one of the core four.
Yeah. Dude, he tried. If
he had the he tried multiple times with Marner, and the only reason he didn't was because when he got here,
the no move was already kicked in.
5 weeks before Marner's no move kicked in,
and he wasn't even allowed to draft because he was in Calgary.
Yeah, you're starting a new GM, like you're starting a new GM job with a brand new team. You're like meeting everybody, and now you have 5 weeks to figure out like a franchise-altering trade. It's not going to happen.
And that was one of the reasons, presumably, that Dubas got fired too, is because he said he wanted about the core.
Yeah,
honestly, like
I think it's more than that, but it is bad timing.
Dude, I think honestly, to be honest with you, I think part of it is Dubas knew he had that job in Pittsburgh lined up, and I think that he was just gonna go in there and say whatever the fuck he wanted, and it just is what it is, and let it fly.
He made a power play where basically, I mean, this isn't confirmed, so this is kind of speculation, but I think there's been enough like talk about it where part of this is true. He tried making some sort of power play that like lessened
that's Shanahan's role. Yeah, he wanted to take Shanahan out of the front office. But honestly, you know, another thing about it, I don't know. I think Dubas might have actually been thinking about it, because if you look at his GMing as it went on, it changed. Like a lot of people think, oh, he just went for skill guys. Like no, at the end of his he changed
grew as a general manager.
Yeah, his philosophy did change. Like you saw the acquisitions of Nick Foligno, you saw the acquisitions of Ryan O'Reilly. Those were changes that he made in his philosophy.
He said it at that press conference that year that anything was on the table. Like this was the first time in his tenure as as his tenure as Leafs GM that like, you know, oh shit, we might actually trade one of these. Like one of these guys might
Brendan
go.
Shanahan shit his pants, dude.
Yep, and Shanahan like like
this is all on him, man. Because I don't know about like. Listen, obviously players have I think most out of any of it, but listen, Shanahan had a role in building this team. And what frustrates me the most,
the final say on everything.
What frustrates me the most is he always goes back to the '90s Red Wings. Yzerman had no idea how to win. Yzerman didn't know how to win. Dude, he figured it out in year 14. Dude,
okay, let's wait 14 years.
No. You are Brendan Shanahan. Look at the roster. We all know how you played. Look at the roster you construct from year 1 to year like 5 of these guys, where it's a bunch of soft bottom 6 guys who don't play playoff hockey. You still don't play playoff hockey. You don't with Keefe. You never played playoff hockey. You played regular season hockey all the way through the regular season, and then you got to the playoffs and you said no more offense. Everyone sit back. And that's what your idea of playoff hockey was. You're Brendan Shanahan. You've won the cup. You know how to play to win the cup, and you build that team.
I was gonna bring the Red Wings team up exactly where that's 100% his thought process, where the Red Wings of the '90s were terrible for whatever the first 14 years.
Yzerman almost got traded to Ottawa.
But dude, it's been 9 years with this. Like, I'm sorry, man. Maybe they could be the Washington Capitals, where they didn't make it past the second round.
Dude, do you know why those stories were so big? Dude, it's because it never happens. So when people are always, you know, it pisses me off when they're like, look at Washington. I'm like, everyone points to Washington because it was so unbelievable that Ovi did something or the Caps did something in the playoffs that they won the cup. That is why it is so unbelievable, and why everyone always points to it when a failure of a team like this Leafs team has been goes through all this, and they're like, look at Washington. Look at this one example out of every other team ever who are complete failures once they get to the playoffs.
I am so frustrated about hearing about Steve Yzerman and the Detroit Red Wings and Ovechkin and the Capitals, and how it took them however long to win the cup. And why are we doing this? Is some kind of cope because you have an emotional attachment to Mitch Marner as a hockey player? Like, I suppose,
or William Nylander, or like all of them, dude,
like, or Austin Matthews, or whatever the fuck. I suppose we'll just like, do you cheer for the team, or do you
cheer for the players?
Dude, we've seen teams.
We'll just wait around another 10 years, another 15 years when these guys are all retired, then, and when they don't win shit, we have to build a new core. And like,
we've seen teams.
What are we doing here,
dude? We've seen teams shake like. We've seen teams shake themselves up for less, and succeed.
Dude, The Boston
What about the
Bruins
Florida
traded-
Panthers, dude? You trade away Jonathan Huberdeau.
They won the
They won the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Traded the
That's such a good example.
115-point Hart nominee.
I was gonna say a couple years ago. I don't
And
remember.
Uyghur, who was like a
Yeah.
top 20
Yeah,
defenseman
I was
at the
gonna
time.
say,
Still probably is.
Yeah, he's great. A couple years ago,
Could've been
after
a
one of
Leaf.
the Leafs losses, someone said, it might have
Andreas
been
Johnson.
Dom from the Athletics. Someone said on Twitter, Bruins traded Joe Thornton, and then they won a cup. That Joe
Yep.
Thornton trade, that could have been one of the most disastrous trades in Bruins history. It is still terrible. They got nothing for Joe Thornton.
a terrible deal.
And Joe Thornton's a
No, it
Hockey
was
Hall of
bad.
Famer now, or he's going to be. The Bruins won the cup 5 years later.
Also didn't win jack shit.
What's that?
Also did not win jack shit his whole career.
Thornton?
Yes.
Okay, you got
Thornton,
close.
yeah,
at
the
least.
Sharks.
At least he went to the
They
fucking
made
final.
they made the finals, but even after, dude, they made the finals after they had to make some pretty big decisions too. They stripped the captaincy like twice
Yeah.
off of guys. They stripped
Yeah.
Thornton of the captaincy. They stripped Marlowe of the captaincy.
Yeah.
Like they had to make some pretty big decisions and moves there too. Like teams like.
It's not patience what
And-
Shanahan
and-
did.
like-
It's stubbornness, dude.
And let's not
Yes.
pretend.
Biggest
like
ego
the
in
Red
every
Wings
room.
didn't- Let's not pretend like the Red Wings didn't make huge moves either to become the cup winners that they were. They traded for Brendan Shanahan. Like they got guys like that to help them win a cup. Like they made big decisions too. It's not like they didn't do anything.
Like I don't think this whole Vegas Golden Knights being ruthless thing is new. It's
No, dude.
popular.
Dude, every cup team does it. Like, look at if you look at Tampa, they're in their window still. Ryan McDonough, thank you for all you've done. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of our. And listen, you know what? Sometimes it doesn't work out, but you know what? You have to do what you have to do to try to continue to win, and that's what they do.
Stamkos.
Steven Stamkos, leave. Get out. We don't want you anymore. Like it is not patience. It is Brendan Shanahan not being able to let go of this Shanahan plan that he built that has been a complete and utter disaster.
Disaster.
Yeah, and I feel like there's something within MLSE where they say, "Oh no, Corp 4, Mitch Marner jersey sales, like
Playoff
there's
home
no-
dates, like
playoff home dates." There's no understating the.
Imagine how much
marketing
more
aspect.
money they could make if they made the cup finals. Like,
Yeah.
do they
That's
think
what
about
I'm
that?
fucking saying.
Do they think about that? How
you
much
know why,
more
dude?
money you could make?
Do you know why? Because this team was so pathetic from 2005 till 2017, where it was almost pretty much 12 years of no playoff dates and not even being remotely close to the play. Or, you know what, they were close some years and they were just too shit that they fall off. The 18-wheeler years where you're in a playoff spot for like until 2 weeks before the playoffs start and you fall out. And that shit happened to them so much.
Peter Horacek here.
Yeah, and this team, this organization has been so pathetic for so long that they are happy with their 4 home dates in the playoffs and they get bounced. And they say, you know what? They look good in the regular season. And you know what? One other thing. Everyone talks about this regular season success. One division win they have to show for it. This great regular season success. 3rd place in the Atlantic every year.
I will say, again, I think the management and coaching that they have now is solid. They have that set. This is why I don't want Brad Tree Living to go.
Oh, I'd also like
there
to
is a
story
vision
stuff.
that he is building.
I like to point
and
out that I hated the Tree Living hiring when it happened because I thought, and
we all didn't.
Yeah,
we all weren't the
I
biggest fan
thought-
of it because he was
dude,
terrible in
yeah,
Calgary. But
100%.
I think looking back on it now, that was probably more the owner than him.
Well, I was about to say he was also the best of the worst because if you looked at the guys that they were interviewing, there was like Peter Chiarelli was there, like it was bad. But sorry to cut you off.
I think Botterill was one too.
Yeah,
I can't remember
I'm sorry
now,
to cut you
there
off,
was
but
another-
I want to point out how.
Oh, he did it again.
Again, my mic, dude, again. It's another first round exit, dude.
Okay, make your point.
I'm not
Sam.
even cutting this out,
Yeah,
bro.
we-
I'm not even cutting this out.
Keep going.
No, just like I really don't think there should be a dialogue about management or coaching. There's a vision set by Brad Tree Living. Like Mateo was saying, he was the best of the worst at the time, and I think he's proved that a lot of the poor decisions made in Calgary were probably not him, or not fully him at least. I do think he has a really good vision for this team, and I think it'd be doing this team and a fan base a crime if they let
Another thing
2
is
years
that
into his tenure.
Elliot Friedman said on 32 Thoughts right after the loss he thinks that Berube will have a lot of say on the player personnel stuff, which I think is a good thing.
Fair.
I
mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, dude, he's your long-term coach. He should have say. You're. Yeah.
You should have confidence in your coach being able to have input on that. Like I there should be. Keith Pelly said this last year that he wants harmony at like the management level, and I think that's 100% true. You should have a harmony there because you don't want a disconnect between your coach and your GM. They should be on the same page for pretty much everything.
Dude, we had that disconnect the whole Core 4 era.
Yeah.
Babcock was only really in lockstep with Lou, and then once Lou left, Babcock hated Dubas's guts. And then even when Keefe came in, if you watch the Amazon behind the what was it called? Oh, All or Nothing. All or Nothing. Keefe did have. It was a lot of nothing. Keefe, and it has really vanilla. It has been a whole lot of nothing this whole time, but even then, and I know it's normal for these guys to argue. It's a high pressure. I also want to point out one thing. Throughout people are imagine just treating people like this in your normal workplace. Everyone stop with that. It's the NHL. It's not your normal workplace. Everyone shut up. You're gonna argue. You're gonna have yelling. I saw someone say that. This is so random, but I saw it on Twitter. And it pissed me off when Hurdle turned around, and smashed his stick, and he accidentally hit his trainer in the head. Imagine you just assaulted someone in your regular workplace. It's not a regular workplace. It's the NHL playoffs. It is what it is.
Dude, it's professional. It's hockey.
He didn't mean to two-hand the guy across the head when he was just standing there. But
oh my god! Imagine if you were just in the office and then you just
throw a keyboard at somebody.
No,
open ice hit. You're just walking up the hallway, so adjust your shoulder.
You're in the office and you just hit a fucking home run into someone's skull.
Yeah,
that'd be awful.
Yeah, that pissed me off. I was doomscrolling Twitter, and we haven't recorded it in a bit, and I just
it's your fault for doomscrolling Twitter.
Is my I know, but yeah, I think getting back to my point, I think even Keefe and Dubas weren't all the time like this with each other. I think there was butting of heads there, and I think a lot of that came down to how they wanted Keefe to communicate in the media. I think a lot of times Keefe kind of bit his tongue, dude, with what he wanted to say, and I think we saw it. We saw in his final year when Shreliving came in. Yeah, he kind of was let free, and he kind of called a lot of guys out a lot, or was a lot more blunt than he was with Dubas as the GM.
There still is, I think, way too much media training with this team. Mm-hmm. It's not that
they're so coddled, dude.
I think they don't realize that the fans prefer the honesty. If Austin Matthews was pretty honest, but if Austin Matthews and Rich Marner or something go to the media on Sunday and they say what Nathan McKinnon said after his year 8 where they got
9 years into
in the
my
playoffs again.
Yeah, 9 years into my career, I haven't won shit.
9 years of my career, I haven't won shit. If they said that, dude, I think they'd find a lot more sympathy among the fans in this fan base. There's no need to galaxy brain this shit. Mm-hmm. It's not that complicated here. Just be
dude, everyone watches the games, man. Dude, we're not reading on the newspaper the next day and they don't watch you play.
I think they tend to just have this complete lack of there's a disconnect. They don't think from the fan perspective. They just think from the perspective of we need to damage control this and the most amount possible. Don't say anything that could be taken out as a quote or whatever. Who cares, man?
I think
the fans are the ones that are gonna appreciate the honesty, and you would find way more sympathy if you were.
Dude, how far has it gotten you with the? Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
I was just gonna say the way they talk to the media, it's they're trying to protect something, and you say the media training is so.
Dude, who cares?
There's a filter on, and there is. It's I don't know what you're trying to protect at this point. Whose feelings?
How has protecting? How well has protecting got you, dude? You look at how this, and you know what? And I kind of want to get onto the fans now, and I know we kind of. I don't actually know what I want to save the fans because I just want to say, look what the protecting has gotten you. It's gotten you jerseys thrown on the ice. It has gotten booing. booing a hometown kid every time he touched the puck because guess what? No one's stupid because we watch you play. And stop acting in the media like your life is the worst thing in the world because you play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's what they act like. And I remember after Game 6 against Ottawa, they were Matthews had his post-game interview, and my dad said, "Why do they never say we're happy to do it for our fans?" And at the time, I was like, "Whatever, dude, it's post-game." But I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? They're right. Because the first thing Matthews said was, we didn't listen to the outside noise. Who the fuck are you talking about? Because I know who he's talking about. He's talking about fans who are upset because this team has been a complete failure for 9 years. 9 years, complete failure. There's a reason why people are upset, and it's not because you if you listen, they get these contracts. Not everyone's out against you and wants you to fail. We want you to win. You get this contract, and if you win, nobody says shit about the $13.5 million you make.
People have contested me for saying that it's not hard to be loved in Toronto.
Nope.
Like, I've gotten so much contention for saying that. And, like, I think it's because people view it from the outside of, like, oh, my gosh, Leaf fans hate these guys. Like, these guys do nothing but score, like, 100 points. Like, these are guys that should be loved. And they look at all these players that, whatever, have been, like, hated on by Leafs fans. Like, I don't know, Justin Hull, Alex Kerfoot, even, like, TJ Brody in his last year.
We're all bad. We're all bad.
Leaf fans? Oh, my God. It's entirely performance based. We don't just like maliciously hate these guys.
Seb, save it because there's a whole rant that I want to talk about with how the media has covered like us as fans and how because there's a lot to go into with the fan narrative, and honestly I think I might write just a whole article on the way that we've been
pisses me
talked
off
about us
so
it's
much.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny when Austin Matthews said passenger, like, and every time I hear that quote, the first thing that comes into my mind is Pontus Holmberg. Like I'm not even making a point about Pontus Holmberg. Like this is just like I just think it's fucking hilarious. Like it is not Holmberg's fault. Like I just like passenger Holmberg.
No, but you know what?
I'm not gonna lie.
I don't have a no. Listen, Matt. I have no problems with him saying there's a lot of passengers tonight. What I have a problem with him. What I have a problem with him saying, and I gave him a pass at the time, because I'm like, you know what? You fresh off a Game 7 loss, you're not going to speak perfectly. You might fuck up some of your quotes. You don't mean it. But one of the biggest passengers in that game outside of the first period, he was one of them, because you get paid so much money, you take so much of the cap, and you don't do shit. And I would have, and listen, he said after Game 5, we all have to look in the mirror, myself included. And there's accountability there. It is what it is. When you're the captain, you speak for the team.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? He was right. All of you have to look in the mirror because there's not one guy who played well, and he said myself included. So there's ownership, there's accountability there. What pissed me off was today, and that's another thing. The media didn't ask him about it, and I thought for sure that was a lock. They were gonna ask him about that quote because it's been going nuts, but he didn't say I didn't play well enough, and he said there's a lot of passengers on that team, and also I already mentioned it. Mitch Marner screaming at the bench to wake the fuck up when you're down 3-0, and you've been Dude, his play was a complete joke all playoff. It always has been a complete joke.
He's had 1 point from games 4 through 7. 1 point.
And I realized that these guys,
not good enough.
And I realized these guys are the leadership group, and they are the ones who have been there, lived it all, seen it all. But I think that there is something in that locker room where them being the highest paid guys, the biggest regular season contributors to the team, the highest paid players, there's like a clique there. They are the guys.
But dude,
they showed it in the media today too, dude. Yeah. They showed it to the media. What do you have William Nylander and all of them saying? Like, obviously they're gonna say they want them back. I'm not saying like they should have said no, get these guys the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But like, it shows there's a.
But you know what?
I think you're right.
Honestly,
there is something there.
Yeah.
There's groups in every team. Like there's not one team in the NHL.
It's a workplace, right?
Well,
like
but the problem is when the guys at the top clearly don't give a fuck about winning, or like clearly are too scared to win and are shitting their pants on the fucking bench.
Well, that's what I was about to say, dude. Like you know what? Nathan McKinnon, he's allowed to lose his fucking mind because you know what he does? He scores. Dude, and he will put you on his back, and he's an animal. It gets very tiresome when guys who regularly don't perform but take up the most of the cap start screaming and yelling at guys, because it's like, dude, I get paid $1 million and I have a fraction of the talent you have, why don't you fucking show up for once? Why don't you score a big goal for once? Why don't you do something? Why don't you stop yelling at me, who was already playing their ass off? Like, imagine looking down the bench and looking at Scott Laughton in the face and saying, wake the fuck up. Who do you think you are? Mitch Marner, complete joke. Dude, I don't
Goes
know
on
if
the
he
next
lost
shifts and completely
dude,
turns over the puck too.
I don't know. I don't
know.
know if he lost a brain cell when he blocked that shot with his face against Boston, but he's never been the same. Because that guy, ever since that moment where he blocked those 2 shots to close out Game 3 against Boston, and I can't remember what year, I think it was 2018, he has never been the same player. And him and his camp royally fucked himself over with that 2019 contract discussion because everyone in the city loved him.
His
and now,
I think that was it.
Gone. It was shot.
Awful. Because you know what? At the end of the day, Seb, we talked about how it's not hard to be loved in Toronto. Everyone thinks of like Toronto, big city, obviously, but Leaf fans, they're scattered all throughout Ontario. You go to like the middle of nowhere, Northern Ontario or Southern Ontario, some small town. Majority are Leaf fans, and they don't have tons of money, and they're not like some Bay Street. They're not some Bay Street person who walks down, goes to the game, sits in the club for half of it, has a bunch of drinks and a steak. No, they're watching at home, and they love the guys like Max Domi or Scott Laughton who will go out there and block a shot and throw a hit and put their body on the line for the team. And they don't give a shit about some like regular season toe drag or spinorama Mitch does in the regular season. Because guess what? When the playoffs come around, they're nowhere to be seen, and they don't matter. Everyone's like, yeah. Dude, the spinoramas. And the other thing about so yeah, just like closing on my point is, it's not hard to be loved here. Just play your ass off. Doug Gilmour, Curtis Joseph, I have Ed Belfour out there. Those guys played their asses off, and everyone loved them. And they're looked at as legends. They didn't make the Cup final. None of those guys made the Cup final. Wendell Clark. I'm going to say something on Clark quickly because I've just been meaning to get that. You come to Toronto and you talk to some like older dad or grandfather or uncle, and you talk to them about hockey. You would think Wendell Clark is the greatest player to ever play in the National Hockey League.
Dude, talk to my dad.
Yeah, and he great player, but you know why they loved him? Because he would rock your shit in the corner.
He had heart.
He would fight you, and he would score a big goal. That's why they love Wendell Clark.
Wendell Clark had 6 Game 7 goals in 6 Game 7s, all with the Leafs.
Dude,
I would sell a kidney to have that on this team right now. Any of them. People
walk through. I go to school in Toronto. People walk through the city with Ty Domi jerseys on. That guy had a career high of 15 goals in the season, and they love him because he would rock your shit and he would play with heart. It's not hard to be loved here. Just show up and try your best, and it is what it is.
Just play with heart. Look like. I'm not saying that they don't care. Show that you care. Do something to
and that
show
goes
that
back to
you
the
care,
media,
because
like
they
you guys
go
were
out there
saying.
they go out there in Game 7 and they're down, 3-0, and they just look dead. They're deflated. The body language is awful. They're sitting on the bench feeling sorry for themselves.
Max Domi rock Carter Verhaeghe shit, I think, in the offensive zone, and that was the only thing that I saw that was a son of light.
Just go to you're dead. You're gonna die. There's still a period and a half. Go out and just lay somebody out. Go kill somebody, man. I don't know. Do something.
The fans
play with your heart. They just lose it every single time.
The fans hating the players thing is just like such a tired story and such a tired gimmick. Like Darcy Tucker. I should not know who Darcy Tucker is. I was born in 2005. I did not watch a single game of Darcy Tucker in my life. His career high in points with the Leafs is 61. I should not care about Darcy Tucker. This guy's a legend. Guy's a legend. He didn't even get it done in the playoffs.
Dude, people...
Like, what the fuck?
No, dude. They went to the conference final. People love Matt Sundin.
Teams are loved.
People love Matt Sundin. And also, that's the other thing. It's not just that they like hard, grinders. People love Matt Sundin here. He was a skill player.
Dude, people love Matt Sundin, and he fucked the Leafs. In his last year here, he fucked them. He denied a trade to Vancouver that would have gotten them a boatload of assets and helped them
Montreal
in a rebuild.
too, dude.
And he's still loved, man.
Dude, the
It's
whole
not
Darcy Tucker.
hard.
Darcy Tucker was one of those guys too, by the way. Like he was part of the Muskoka Five. That's what they were called because they all had places up in Muskoka and they didn't want to move when the Leafs were clearly not competitive anymore. But do we want to get into the fans now? Because I think we can get back to hockey pretty easily. Yeah. Okay. One of the biggest things that and it blew my mind. I was going to lose my mind at the bar. I'm listening to the panel after the game, and they're like, "It's so hard to play in front of these fans. The booing doesn't help." The booing doesn't help. You were down 3-0 before.
You know what doesn't help? Going down 3-0. Maybe that doesn't fucking help.
You know what doesn't help? Going out there for a skate like you're at Stick and Puck, where your season and your whole career in Toronto is on the line. Well, people pay thousands of dollars to go watch these guys play, and you think I'm talking about playoffs? It's regular season too. A lot of these people pay hundreds, close to $1,000 to go watch these guys in regular season. They do one nice thing a year, and it's go watch these guys. Any given night, these guys will just be like, I don't feel like playing right now. And you know what? You're not going to win it. And in the regular season, you're going to have nights where you're off. But these guys don't give a fuck. That's what it feels like when you go watch them sometimes and they don't have their game.
That is an all-time quote.
And that's what
the boos
don't help.
Yeah. What does that mean? The boos are supposed to help?
You know what would help?
If
show up once ever. Show up and play once ever in an important moment.
This was your like. I was about to say this was your moment. This was your moment of like this is like your 10th moment.
If you pay $600 to go sit in the 20th row of like section 321 at Scotiabank Arena, you 100% deserve to boo the team when they go down 3-0 in their own barn in a Game 7 and show the most pathetic performance I've ever seen in my life.
Careful with our words.
It's too hard to play here, though. Yeah.
Careful with our words, though, because we're making too much noise, and this might cause them to lose. Us.
Yeah, dude. Also, I'd like to say the other thing is that, the arena's so quiet. I don't know. I thought it was pretty loud all playoff. Even when this team was shitting the bed.
3-1 goal in Game 7.
They lose their mind.
Dude, I am so sick of this. The fans hate the team. The fans make it so hard on the team. I said to Dom, our friend Dom, we were at the square, I said, oh yeah, Leafs score. I am not celebrating this goal. Max Domi scores. My goofy fucking ass is jumping up and down, screaming, let's fucking go. Of course it was Max Domi too. Because, you would never expect McFarland to score.
Also, the fans don't care. You sell out Scotiabank Arena. There's people lining up from Bremner all the way back to the Rogers Center just to see if they can see it on the square.
It was nuts.
Dude, people want you to win. People want you to show up. Do you notice how no one was ripping you apart when you lost Game 3? Do you notice how you could lay 2 eggs like you did in game, or I mean, I shouldn't say 2 eggs, but in Ottawa, you lost Game 4 in overtime, and you played a complete shit game in Game 5 at home on home ice.
I can't.
And guess what? You fill the square again. People lose their mind. You win one series, people are losing it on the streets of Toronto. They just want you to win once.
I think this is a narrative that is directly tied. Sorry. Finish your point. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just saying they want you to win once. No one's even dude. Conference final, you would have people parading in the streets if you dude. What? It's hard to play here.
Even close,
we want you to fucking win.
Mitch Marner said it himself. They are treated like gods here,
and people hated that a lot. He's not wrong. There are
treated like gods here. If you show up and win. It's not that complicated. Just win.
You have to win the cup. No Leaf has made it to the cup final since 1967, and we have legends row outside the arena.
Actual
guys like
bronze statues.
Daryl Sittler, every captain since then, where it's like, you guys didn't win shit. You went to the conference final maybe at most. People love the 90s Leafs. I go back and I watch highlights of the 90s Leafs all the time because they're so fun to watch. I got the Doug Gilmour jersey when Mitchell and Ness recreated them because I love Doug Gilmour. Like, never watched a game of him like when I was alive, but I love watching the highlights, so I got one.
When you were
People
alive.
love the 90s. Yeah, dude. No, he wasn't playing when I was born in 2005.
Mateo died with Game 7. Yeah. The Mateo died with the Leafs.
I did.
The ghost of Mateo passed this year.
Dude, people love the 90s Leafs because they played hard. They were, and they weren't the best team in every series. Like, if you look at one of the series that Leaf fans talked about the most, and I'm not talking about fans our age because we haven't had anything to cheer about. I'm talking about the fans who were around for the 90s. When they beat Detroit in Game 7, when they were, like, people looked at that team in the 90s like they had no shot whatsoever, and Borshevsky scores a tip-in or a redirection from the hash marks. People lost their mind, and they love those teams because they were underdogs who played with so much heart. And they didn't just roll over and die like this team does. This team, and I don't know how you are Wendell Clark and you watch this team. I don't know how you are Doug Gilmour and you watch this team. I don't know how you are Darcy Tucker and you watch this team.
You know what's funny?
Like all those guys, like
I watched the Steve Dangle podcast yesterday, and they actually mentioned that like. Because they obviously are a little more connected now that Jesse Blake's like a credentialed.
Well,
whatever.
they
have more connections now. They said yesterday they are Leafs alumni that absolutely despise this team. Like they can't stand it.
Yeah.
Like this
They also
iteration,
said
they can't stand it. Like they hate it.
It's dude. How can you not? I thought like they fooled me when they first started coming up because I remember having arguments with my dad and he always brings this up to me every playoff. He's like, "Do you remember when you said the game was changing and this team could win just purely based off skill?"
We can't lie though. Like this year, it truly was different.
No. Listen, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way that they played in the playoffs because I think up until this year or maybe even last year, they played differently than every other playoff team. They didn't hit. It was all puck possession. And
they had to flip their game on their head the second they walked into the playoffs, and you can't do that.
You will never win anything if you have completely changed your game from the 82 games that you just played
you can't flip into a completely different style after playing 82 games playing one style. You have to build it throughout the year.
We got away from it a little bit, but I think like going back to the fans, I think this is a narrative that is completely connected to the relationship between the fans and Mitch Marner. Like we talked about the 2019 contract negotiations. I think that kind of was it then and there. Like obviously there was a lot of animosity between both the fans and Marner at that point, and it just kind of grew when Marner never did anything in the playoffs, and here we are fucking 6 years later and he still hasn't done anything.
Because you'd ask for like a top 5 salary in the NHL, and put up the performance that you did year in and year out.
Also, I like to say the stuff that happened in this cottage unacceptable. Like people throwing golf balls on the ground, like that's not acceptable. But and all like whatever. But they said border. The thing that made me laugh is Chris Johnson said he faced borderline harassment. The first instance he brings up is a kid walking up to him and saying, "Why haven't you signed a contract yet?" I don't think that's really harassment. I think that is more so a kid asking you, "Hey, you're one of my favorite players. Why don't you want to sign with us?"
Brother, it's a child. What do you expect? Obviously,
it makes me lose my mind. It makes me lose my mind because I am a huge soccer fan. And if you watch the way these guys, if you watch the way these guys are treated in Europe, I think every single Leaf would shit themselves simultaneously if you watch how these big players are treated in Europe.
We don't even have to go to Europe for dude.
No, dude.
What about like LeBron James? What about anybody in the MLB?
Patrick Mahomes,
dude. Juan Soto just played a regular season game. What's the New York Yankees stadium? I forget what it's called.
Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium. He just played there, right? And signed with the Mets, whatever. Every time he went up to the plate, I think it was the right field fans in the stand. They all turned away from him.
That's
every time he was at that
supporter section. Yeah. That guy played for the Yankees for one season, by the way. One season.
Wait,
one season.
Really?
I'm so sick. So sick. Yeah. And then you have Paul Maurice and Matthew Tkachuk going to the media and talking.
Oh, dude, all of them can fuck off. All of them.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. They can all fuck because they're spinning this narrative onto Leafs fans in the media.
No, you know what that is?
It's not their fault.
Do you want to know what that is?
They're shoring up their own win to try and make it look better.
No. You know what that is? That is, hey, Sam Bennett's a UFA, and we know these guys are going to go after him. Hey, don't go there, Sam, because you're. Oh, also another thing on Sam Bennett, and this proves how Leaf fans have lost shit. We are so the most overhated fan base in the league because Elliot Friedman says if Sam Bennett played in Toronto, he would get suspended 60 times a year.
Yep.
Why the fuck do our players get suspended more if they play here than if they do in Florida? I just want to know. Oh, wait, because George Peros cannot shake his bias because he hates the Leafs and he played for every other team ever?
Because
shit.
the Leafs, because Colton Orr ended his career.
Yeah. Like, I hate to bring it up because the guy
Gregory
genuinely
Campbell,
got...
too, by the way.
Yeah. I hate to bring it up because that, like, as much as I don't like George Peros, he genuinely got, like, he got hurt in that fight against Colton Orr, but it is a narrative. You got your shit rocked when you played against the Leafs, and now all of a sudden every time
look, you
something that involves us, we get screwed over. Well, that's the thing, and that pisses me off. Another thing is everyone talks about LeafsNet. I'm sorry, we've been getting shit. We get shit on daily
Sportsnet
by
hates
those guys.
the Leafs, man. There are legitimate. There's legitimate direction in that corporation where they they tell their media members like.
Steve Dangle said that too, who worked there, by the way.
He's openly talked about this, how like they tell you there, like don't
make it seem like you like the Leafs.
Don't like
we don't want to see bias towards the Leafs.
Yeah, you don't want to see bias.
The only station who covers the Leafs properly is TSN.
Yeah, TSN.
100%.
It's TSN.
I mean, why does every single Canadian team get a regional broadcast on Sportsnet except the Toronto
us?
Maple Leafs? Makes no fucking, and they're right there too. Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson might as well be a regional broadcast.
Yeah, but Craig Simpson fucking hates the Leafs too, so I don't give a shit, dude.
Yeah, get Mike Johnson on Sportsnet.
I listen. I get the whole Harold Ballard stuff, but Craig Simpson refused to come here. By the way, when he got drafted, like he did not.
That's why
he
they
refused.
Clark.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we got
because
Eric
Craig Simpson didn't want
by
to come here.
Craig Simpson.
What?
He refused to come here when he got drafted.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I thought you
he
said
didn't
we
get
got
drafted
Eric
by us. The Leafs had the first overall pick in '85, I think it was.
Oh.
And Craig Simpson, I think Craig Simpson
said,
was
I'm not
the
playing
projected.
for you.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ, we dodged.
Yeah, he said I'm not playing for you.
We almost drafted
Yeah,
Craig
like
Simpson. We got Wendell Clark instead. Oh my god.
Yeah, they picked Wendell Clark instead.
Thank fucking god.
Yeah, thank
But
God.
yeah, it's just we don't get all
so
this stuff that everyone
confused.
talks about. They only talked about the Leafs is like it's such bullshit because I think at every turn these guys bend over backwards not to compliment them. And you want to know why we get talked about the most? Because we have guys like Austin Matthews scoring close to 70 goals in the regular season. I'm sorry, that's a storyline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like
William Nylander in a rocket race. I'm sorry, that's a storyline, guys. I'm sorry that our players in the regular season perform well. And you know what? I'm also sorry that we get talked about in the playoffs because we don't show up when everybody does it. So you can go on Twitter and tweet all you want about the Leafs, but the second that they start talking about it on Sportsnet, oh my god, they don't cover my team. Maybe it's because nobody gives a fuck about the Ottawa Senators. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, did you see Brady Tkachuk melt down for the 70th time this season when you're down 5-1?
I mean, there's more games. There's more Leafs games on Sportsnet a year than there is any other team. Is there?
Because it's a national broadcast, dude. Because we get the most eyes.
This is the only sport that I can think of where like people get legitimately like, or where broadcasters purposely avoid talking about the popular team to a point where it's actually like lopsided.
The only other sport where I kind of see it is in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because but the thing is with the Cowboys is that there's always something going on with them. When it gets a little ridiculous is when you have teams who are playing well and they're just terrible. But guess what? And listen, I'm not going to pretend to remember because it's been a while since the Leafs were so terrible they weren't even in the playoff hunt. But I highly doubt if we go back to the lottery teams that we're going to get talked about like we do now, which is like you get talked about when you're good.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about the Buffalo Sabres or sorry, not the Buffalo Sabres. Who's someone who's in the middle that just missed?
Philly?
Yeah, no one wants to talk about Philly unless it's Torts losing his mind. No one wants to talk about a season where you're just completely mid. You talk about the teams in the playoff race, and that's why they've been brought up so much. And it just feels like you never get real coverage of this team unless you go and find it. And that's why guys like the SDPN are so great because you have to focus on it. And listen, whatever you can say whatever you want about the rest of the coverage with the league with the SCBN, but I think they do a good job on the Leafs.
They do a great job with the Leafs every single time.
You can always go there and have great Leafs coverage.
Yeah, I feel like
and
what I say on this podcast is awfully similar to what they say on Steve Dangle podcast, but it's just because I feel the same way. Like it's not like I listen to their show and then come on here to say the same thing. It's like I don't always listen to their show. I'm always saying the same shit. They're real fans.
No, I also like everyone's like, oh, throwing the jerseys on the ice isn't right. Like, get off your moral pedestal, dude. Like, honestly. Oh my god, I agree. Listen, in the middle of play, you shouldn't throw stuff on the ice.
In the middle of
like you don't want to hurt a guy.
I think the beer cans too are
the
bad.
beer cans are bad.
The beer cans you shouldn't be doing that because you could hit somebody in the stands.
Dude, they were throwing them at the bench. Like that's not acceptable. You can't throw them at the bench.
Here's the thing with the throwing the jerseys on the ice. I mean, obviously from what we just said, like during the play, beer cans, that's all aside. But throwing the jerseys on the ice, people and asterisk, because this is other fans of other teams on Twitter, they're like, oh, like especially Senators fans, they're like, oh, after the Game 6 loss, oh, we cheered for our team, we were proud of them. Like, what were we doing?
We did against Washington too, dude.
That was the first playoffs you made in 8 seasons.
Against Washington, against Boston, like it's more a recent thing that we've been pissed off at these guys.
These guys were so loved when they got into the league. The three, because JT came later, and even when JT came, he could do no wrong because
they were the only glimmer of hope we had.
Dude, these guys could do no wrong. And the first time I ever saw these guys take heat, really, was when Matthews had a situation in Arizona where he pulled down his pants in front of that cop, and that wasn't even Dude, that wasn't even an on-ice thing. That was an off-ice thing that he handled poorly.
It disappeared, too. Like, nobody really talked about it.
Yeah, and honestly, by the way, he was like 20. Like, fuck, he made a stupid, idiotic mistake, and it kind of moved on after that.
We're 20 now, by the way.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I mean, like...
I'm just thinking about that. That's crazy that it's been that long.
No, but still, like, you get what I mean. Like, it's a stupid mistake he made when he was younger, and it just kind of is what it is.
Punk's pushing 30, dude.
I know, that's crazy. And if you remember that whole time, they were trying to give him the captaincy.
Yeah,
and they had to pivot really quickly.
That was going to be the season. They were going to give it to
him. Dude, there was a video where you could see they covered up the C on the jersey.
Yeah.
In one of those like preseason hype videos.
Yeah.
And they gave it to JT right after.
They were going to do it. It was going to be him.
Not to kind of oh fuck, I forget how I was going to word that, but anyways, the point is context is important.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the jerseys on the ice thing, you never want to see that. And I mean, to criticize fans for doing that without, I mean, everybody shits on the Leafs until it's convenient for them. Oh, you guys suck. Haven't gotten shit done in 10 years. Mm-hmm. Why would you throw your jerseys on the ice?
Because
it's right in front of you.
Dude, do you know how frustrating it is? Do you know how frustrating it is to have to pay $200 to get nosebleed tickets to watch these guys against like the fucking Utah Mammoth on a Tuesday night, and they don't do shit. Like, and obviously people are pissed off. Like I'm so like, you see like fans of Carolina saying, "Oh, these aren't real fans." Dude, you pay $40 to get into the building to watch them against the Edmonton Oilers. We are not the same.
And
we are not. And you've won series like.
And Jacob, to your point on you know, the people that'll go on Twitter and whatever and say that these aren't real fans and like, oh, you shouldn't be throwing whatever. These are the same people that are going to go on Twitter every single time a Leafs fan says anything about their team and dunk on them for all the playoff losses, dunk on them for everything this franchise is. And it's like, so you're just a hypocrite because you're laying out all the reasons why they're doing it.
The first time I think I really saw people get sick of this team was the second Boston series. I think people were starting to be like, okay, like now you have to take the step out of the first round. And then Columbus happened, and I think that was all weird, and I think people were very upset. But I think that whole season was a kind of a shit show, if you remember properly. And I don't think people had high expectations.
It ruined the season.
People didn't really have the high expectations of that team. I think where it very, very, very turned almost toxic was the Montreal series when these guys
that was the moment.
Threw away a 3-1 series lead.
That was the moment.
And I think everyone wanted guys like Mitch gone. I think you saw these guys fold under the pressure and get shut down by inferior competition. Phil Deneau locks up Matthews. Mitch Marner's folding under pressure like he usually does.
Was the moment. It should have been then.
Mm-hmm. And I think after that, they just everyone kind of resented these guys to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, the memory of Mitch Marner is going to be what could have been, not in the sense of could have.
It shouldn't have ended this way.
Sorry, I was going to say not what could have been in winning a championship, winning the cup. What could have been in what could we have gotten for Mitch Marner if we traded him?
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I look back now and like I'll go on TikTok and I see like a sad Mitch Marner edit.
Yeah.
Like now that he's leaving, and it's like, it shouldn't have ended this way.
Dude, it fucking sucks. Mitch Marner was.
There should have like.
I mean, the 16-17
Elliot Friedman said it on 32 Thoughts that Mitch Marner should have gone down as the best Toronto-born Maple Leaf of all time, and
We've said
it doesn't end like that.
We've said it on this podcast.
Everyone should be disappointed.
We've said it
he's
so
right.
many times.
And he's right. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Jacob. I wanted that in there because I thought it was so perfect for the conversation. But
no, it 100% ties in. Like 16-17, Leafs were kind of shit before that. So that was the first year that I really watched hockey, and I really fell in love with the NHL and the Leafs. And like Mitch Marner, like I thought he was a special player. I mean, I'm not a genius for thinking that, but I thought he was a really special player then. And
dude,
he was
18-9.
He was like, oh man, that Bozak, Van Riemsdyk, Marner line, that was my favorite line to watch. I just loved watching them so much.
The
18-19 OT winner in Game 3 against Washington,
man.
I lost it.
Dude, like Marner was my favorite player from then until I'll say a couple years ago, because I mean, we all know what happened, but like
I just want to. I think I there are a lot of people now who are like, there's still Leaf fans who want him back, and
I don't know why.
I understand the talking point of how are you going to replace or whatever, but it's not about that. You can have the 100-point whatever winger in the playoffs or in the regular season. The second it hits the playoffs, games 4 through 7, he's gone. He vanishes.
I'd also like to point out how funny it is that everyone shit on it.
What difference is the 102-point winger going to make as opposed to whatever a couple 60-point guys in your lineup if the 102-point winger doesn't
show up
absolute
in the playoffs?
Jack through games 4 through 7?
What
difference is that going to make?
I like to point out how funny it is that everyone shit on Mitch for his playoff abilities before he was a free agent. Now all of a sudden, he's an 100-point winger. Yeah, he's always been kind of an 100-point winner, it's not that. Like,
listen, it's off. I get it. It's awful that they're gonna lose him for nothing. It's 100%. Terrible, and it's horrible asset management. But they made that mistake 2 years ago. This isn't a mistake that they made now. They made that mistake 2 years ago.
You mean
they didn't trade.
Shanahan.
They let Mitch Marner. They let Mitch Marner walk for free 2 years ago because Mitch, rightfully so, he has this right in his contract, rejected a trade multiple times, 100%. And people bring up the Mikko Rantanen thing where he was going to get traded for Mikko Rantanen and he blocked the trade and now he's going to leave for nothing and he's a snake. Dude, this guy's wife was like 8 months pregnant.
I was just about to say that.
I don't blame him.
Okay,
he had the right in his contract.
He has like an hour to make that decision too. It's like
you gave it to him, man. You gave him that right. I don't blame the guy at all. His wife's 8 months pregnant. He's gonna go sit in a hotel in Carolina while his wife is in Toronto.
I like to point out. I saw some people also saying like, how could you even ask him to be traded? That's Brad Shillerman's job, by the way. Like he's kind of supposed to do that. Like
both sides.
Chance to get Mikko Rantanen. You gotta
dude, both sides did their whatever. Both sides.
Yeah.
Like Shillerman did his due diligence.
I am
you have a guy who's a UFA.
You guys, we all know, and at the very start of this pod, it was always a joke that I was a Mitch Marner hater of the three of us. I am the furthest thing from a Mitch Marner fan, but I will never be mad at that guy for rejecting that trade to go to Carolina. Because, like you said, Seb, his wife's pregnant. She gave birth like a couple of months later. Like not even
like
a
2
couple
weeks
months.
ago.
Yeah, he did like a month later. I wouldn't want to move my newborn child and my pregnant wife to
it's not even that
country. Like,
dude, no, it's not even that. The wife would his wife would stay here.
But he's not with her.
He'd be living in a hotel in Carolina right now while his wife is in Toronto. preparing to give birth.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but
sorry.
even then, like then he has to move his newborn child and their whole family. Like he's from like, listen, at the end of the day, he's gonna leave anyways, and I think that's what all the reporting has been. And to be honest, I'm not gonna miss him. Like I don't know. I've been kind of sick of Mitch for a while now, and I think.
No, you go. Sorry.
No, honestly, I think the thing that pisses me off the most is that for a kid who grew up here, a kid who grew up loving the Leafs, a kid who went to play in London, which is so close, like he played in the OHL, he was always close to home. He acts like his life is the worst on the planet. He is so miserable all the time when he is talking to the media. And listen, I don't expect him to love the media. A lot of guys hate talking to the media. But he acts like every single person in this city is out to get him. Yeah. Dude, play well for once, and you will be the most loved. Dude, if he... There's an alternate universe where this guy is a demon in the playoffs, and he is the most loved player in the city because he's from here. Austin Matthews, like, whatever. This guy, he was born in Arizona. He came here... In this alternate universe, maybe they win a cup. He might be the savior of the franchise, whatever. But Mitch Marnover would always be the most loved player on this team because he is the only guy that was from here, aside from JT, who decided to come back, and it looks like he wants to stay. Instead, Mitch acts like a little pissy baby every time he gets asked about it, and I have such a hard time having any sympathy for a guy who's getting paid $11.5 million to play for his favorite childhood team, and you know why you get criticism? Because you put it upon yourself. Because your camp, and I get you hate that your family got brought into it, but tell your dad
don't involve your family
then.
in it. Your contract.
Tell your dad to get out of the camp. Leave it to your agent. And you know what? It will never always just be your agent, because your agent does what you want him to do. Because at the end of the day, he is your employee.
They never do anything.
Your agent to
they will never do anything without your say.
Yeah. And like I said, mad that your family got brought into it. Listen, I agree. You probably shouldn't. At the end of the day, you're like your mom and the rest of your family probably shouldn't be dragged into anything. Like your family's kind of off limits for everything. But if your dad wants to involve himself in this contract negotiation and he's at the front of it with Darren Ferris, then you know what? Tell him if you don't want. Tell him to get out of it and stay out of it and leave it to the agent, the actual person who works in hockey. And also the other thing is, I've said it 4 times. Fucking show up in the playoffs. I am begging you. Yeah. I am begging you. Drive the net for once. Dude, you're not a tiny guy. And it's like he plays like he's scared of contact. Stop making the spinorama backhand no-look sauces from your own zone.
I think, dude,
oh my God.
I think with Mitch, it really is just like this tragic story of, I think this is a guy where if he's kind of left alone for his hockey career to make his own decisions, he's fine. But he's surrounded by people like Darren Ferris, who's got to be the most toxic agent in hockey. He's surrounded by people like his dad, who we don't even need to go into Paul Marner and just the mess that he is. I can't stand Paul Marner, and I think he had a huge part in Mitch's reputation being ruined by the city, because I think he's the one that filled Mitch's head with these ideas during that first contract negotiation that, like, yeah, you're on the same level as Matthews. Go get that $11 million contract.
And also to point out, Leaf fans, we're not Austin Matthews fans. We're not Mitch Marner fans. We're not William Nylander fans. We're not John Tavares fans. We are Leaf fans. We were here before all 4 of these guys showed up. We're going to be here after you leave. And you know what? I hope he goes to Chicago and go to Buffalo, go to Chicago. I don't give a fuck, dude. You know what?
Go make your $13.5
Go make your $13.5 and get out of my face. I am so sick of you putting that jersey on and acting like your life is awful. You know what? He could go win a cup. I don't care. You didn't do it here. Because you know what? The pressure got to you, and you were miserable the whole time. And honestly, you know what? He could win a cup. I don't think everyone's like, oh, watch him turn into a playoff demon. He won't turn into a playoff demon because that's not in him. He doesn't play like that.
I
It's
think
not.
you're right.
It's not about playing free for Mitch because you know what? He acts like he plays free because no one is nervous and playing tense when you do a spinorama backhand sauce in your own end.
You know, man,
You're not.
go to Chicago, go to Buffalo, go to Columbus, go to Utah, wherever. Go somewhere where you're not going to be having to deal with all of the noise because you're a pansy and you're a chicken. You're a chicken.
I agree with everything you guys have just said. Like, I'm angry. I think it's time. Like, this has gone on way too long. Just get out of here. Like, I wish we traded you, got something in return. But in the next couple weeks, I'll find time to be sad about this and mourn what we've lost, which was
I won't.
No, but I there's something to be mourned here. Like,
no, I agree with Jacob. I'm like, honestly,
in the last 7 years,
there is a
like,
sad part to this.
7 years ago in 2018, we signed John Tavares, and everybody the only comeback that Leafs haters had for the John Tavares contract was, oh, that's gonna suck at the end of the deal, but it was
He didn't even end up sucking that bad,
and it didn't suck. But I mean, I wish it sucked because
contract in his final year.
The reality was it was gonna suck in the second half of the contract, but it didn't matter because they were gonna win a bunch of cups in the first half of the contract, and like, I think everyone thought that. Here we are now, 7 years later. They have shit to show for it, and it's like this. There was so much anticipation for what this Leafs team was going to be, and now what it never will be.
I agree with Jacob here. I'm on the same side where it's like it's not Mitch himself to be sad
that's
about.
What he represents.
It's this core ending and realizing, wow, we wasted 7 years.
It's also
you don't get like a million cracks at this, dude. Your window only lasts so long, and you just wasted 7 years.
100%. And like year in, year out, Mitch Marner's there. It's gonna be weird that he's not there. It's gonna be an adjustment, especially a player like I said. It's gonna
feel really weird.
He was my favorite player for years. It's gonna suck, but I mean, at the end of the day, it should have happened a couple of years ago. And
what other choice do you have?
There's no other. This is Matthew's team now.
You cannot sign that guy. You can't. You just can't.
I don't think he wants to be here, dude. Do you hear how he's talking? He's like, I loved my time here.
Yeah, I love him. It's a lot of past tense.
Yeah.
He's gone.
It's a lot of past tense.
He
insists that he has not. No, dude, that guy was almost in tears at the end of Game 7. Immediately, he said, I want another chance at this. I want another shot at this. And they asked him, do you want to be here? He said, yes.
I want him back.
Yeah.
I
do too.
Back,
honestly, listen, it depends on the dollar amount.
Dude,
we could save all of this. We could save all of this for another episode because I think we're gonna have a lot of time to talk about the future of this team. And I think, honestly, right now it's kind of tough to talk about the team because we don't know if Brendan Shanahan's gone. We don't, from all the reporting, we don't know what's happening with Brad Treliving. We don't know what's gonna happen with Mitch. There's a Matthew Knies is an RFA. Like, there's so much. Right now, we're just coming out of this Game 7 loss, and the feeling is that it's over. Like, this era of the Leafs is over, and it probably is. But there is still so much to happen before we could genuinely get a good look at what's going to happen in the future, that I want this episode just to be almost a memorial for the core four, because it was like what we thought we had and what we ended up actually getting, it was so far off. And it's tough because Jacob, you said you were going to be sad because of what happened. Or how it played out, and there's obviously for me. I don't know. I guess there's a bit of sadness, but I don't know. Like, I kind of lost faith in these guys a little bit ago.
You moved on a lot longer ago.
Yeah. What hurt me the most this year is I thought it was different, and I, for some reason, allowed myself to kind of crawl back into that headspace that what they're gonna do it this time.
You know what? I owe you an apology because I think Seb and I both pressured you to jump back on.
I was sitting on that bar stool and I was looking up at that TV and I was just like, We had
every reason to believe it. We had every reason to believe it.
Yeah, and that's another reason why. That's another reason why I hate the way that the fans have been talked about. It's because these guys lose in the most most pathetic, heartbreaking ways you could think of. They aren't remotely close. They choke. They throw leads away. They unravel in front of our eyes. They melt down. They don't show up.
And you know what,
any way
man?
you could think, any way you could think they will lose, they will lose. And you know what?
Yep.
Every fucking year when the playoffs start, there are 5,000 people outside the arena, more than that, lined up behind that square to watch them play. The arena is filled. There are jerseys and flags downtown Toronto and in the GTA. And you know what? Another thing that hurts the most about this year is, this year more than any, I've seen Leaf jerseys everywhere. And I live outside of Toronto, and it is rare to see a Leaf jersey here. You don't really see them all that often. But I work outside. I cut grass. I'm outside a lot, and throughout the playoff, I felt like every single day I'd be driving to where I was working that day, and I'd see a Matthews jersey, I'd see a blank Leaf jersey, I'd see a Wendell Clark. I saw a David Clarkson jersey, dude.
Honestly,
like people got behind this team again after breaking their hearts for 8 straight years, and we get shit on for how we reacted, but this team never gave us any reason to think that they would break out in the playoffs, and they still show up every year with people cheering them on.
Yes, and I think to add to your point, I think this year more than years past, there's been people who aren't typically hockey fans that are jumping on board. Like at work, a lot of my coworkers know that I'm a huge Leafs fan, and they'll talk to me like every time I come in after a game day, they'll say, "Oh, like go game last night," or "Oh, shit game last night," or whatever. And these are people that like we've never talked about hockey before. They like never watched hockey till the playoffs, and it's like
same. The same thing for me, dude. I had tons of like I had friends, coworkers that were like actually genuinely starting to like get invested in hockey this year,
dude,
because this team was exciting.
I think,
dude, do you know
Maple Leaf
how?
Square, I was on the bus and I heard multiple different conversations from people who clearly we're not hockey fans, like like just based on the terminology they used. Like someone said, "Oh, we gotta cut Joseph Woll, send him to whatever the G League is," and I'm like, this is hilarious. Like
the only 4 quarters in hockey. The only 4 quarters in hockey, or 3 quarters. Sorry, 3 quarters in hockey.
Yeah, like, and I, that's not supposed to be a knock on people who don't know hockey. I think it's really great that
it's cool.
It's great. It's really
dude.
Cool
I want to share something that happened to me at work.
Together. Sure.
There are a split at my work of Leaf fans and Habs fans. There's 2 Sabres fans for some reason.
Get the hell out.
And there's like 1 Boston fan, but like the guys I talk to the most, they're Leaf fans and they're Hab fans. Do you know how pathetic it feels for a Hab fan to turn to me and say, "I usually hate the Leafs, but I hope they win it for you because oh my god."
Dude, we had Boston. I saw reels of like Boston podcasts literally saying they were cheering for the Leafs this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I've reached this point where I don't even like. It's hard for me to dislike the Bruins because I'm just
no. I hate them. They're like my.
Okay,
I don't like the Bruins.
I
at
hate
all.
them. I hate
Yeah.
like they're not my least favorite team. They're like
Not as much as
third.
I hate the Panthers.
Not as much as I hate the
I
Panthers.
hate Florida.
The Panthers are my bottom team right
Because
now,
the
dude.
Leafs
I
beat the
I
cannot
Boston.
stand them.
Dude, Jacob knows this, and I mean, maybe you guys can tell from behind me. Like I have a jersey collection, and when I was buying jerseys and really collecting them, I bought a Florida jersey because I was like, it's a nice jersey.
I actually
These
do the same
guys,
thing.
why would I hate them? They're the Florida Panthers. Like whatever. I want to burn that thing. It hangs in my
30s,
closet, and I feel like throwing up every time I walk into my closet and I see that thing hanging there.
They are a cancer in the NHL. I'm so serious. They are just they're the worst.
Dude, they were created because of the Boston Bruins. They became the Boston Bruins, but better. That's what they were.
Yeah.
Or that's
Just
what they are.
dirty team. Just dirty
I've got a Panthers jersey
dirty
too.
team.
During the 2023 series, it's still hanging on my wall in my bedroom at my parents' house. But when the Leafs played them in 2023, I turned it the other way, so the logo's facing the wall and there's nothing facing outwards. It's still hanging like that. I haven't moved it in 2 years. Yeah, I should burn that thing. I don't even deserve.
By the way,
I'm not
quick
selling it. I don't deserve to make money.
Quick
on that.
Eastern Conference final update. Game 1 is, while recording, it is currently 2-1 Florida at the start of the second period.
I'm never watching hockey again. I can't watch another Florida Stanley Cup final.
What happened to
3
the
in a row,
sport, man? What
I can't
happened
do
to the
it.
sport?
Dude, no one. Do we?
These guys
I
can
don't
make me
know.
cheer for the
Whatever.
fucking Oilers, man. I don't got it in me.
Dude, it's just I don't know. This team, I don't really think there's much else to say. I think I feel like we probably like skimmed over like big quotes, but I kind of feel like this is better. This is a better show than if we organize it to try to have meaningful discussion, because I think there's so much like structured conversation in the media, because that's kind of how you need to run it if you're running a radio show or if you're running anything. But I feel like just a rant of everything, and I know we kind of jumped all over the place this pod, but I don't think I regret it at all. I think this is probably the best way we could have done it, because I think I told myself before the playoffs started that I was going to write this huge article, the end of the most disappointing era in Leafs hockey, and I said I'm going to have it ready because when they lose in Game 7 the first round, it is going to be out that night. I'm going to have it all written. I'll update it as the series goes along. And they lost Game 4, and I was like, whatever. If you guys remember that pod, even after Game 5, I came out and I said, Seb, relax. One bad game. They played a good game in Game 4. One bad game in Game 5. Look at every team in the playoffs. They've had a bad game. And they come out and they win Game 6. And I'm looking at that article in my drafts, and I'm like, I don't think I need to write this thing right now. So I move on. Game 1, come out flying. We know what happens at the end. They win still. I'm like, okay. Push it down the line. Game 2, come out flying. Come out flying. Win Game 2. Hard-fought game. Play very well. I'm like, man, I really don't think I'm going to have to write this thing. Game 3. On my birthday, by the way, I just want to point out, I had to watch Brad Marchand score a game winner against us in overtime on my birthday.
Happy birthday,
Game
man.
3. Game 3. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I didn't think they'd win this series, but I still don't think I have to write this thing so far. Game 4 happens, and I'm like, fuck, I might need to open this thing up again. Game 5 happens. I'm like, fuck, I really need to get moving. And I didn't, and I just think I really wanted to believe that I didn't need to publish this thing, and I didn't want to write 900 to 1,000 words on how disappointing these guys are. Game 6 happens. I'm like, okay, just once, guys, please. And then I leave to go to Muskoka, and I'm like, I'm not writing it. I'm leaving it. And they...
My cat's in the fucking sink.
And they go out and they play Game 7 like they've never played a game of hockey in their lives. And I sit there at that bar stool and I look and I'm like, that fucking article has maybe 100 words written in it. And I have to find a way to structure this pent-up anger and borderline hatred I have for my favorite team. And I have to figure out a way to structure it where I'm not some lunatic who's writing whatever the fuck he wants. In a way where it's coherent for the reader. In a way where it's professional because it's getting published. And all I could think about at work today was, and on the drive back home yesterday was...
She's wet.
Excuse me?
She was in the sink. She's wet.
Excuse me?
What is your fucking problem, man? What were you thinking on the drive back home from work?
How the fuck am I going to write a professional, well-structured article? I can't do it, dude. Reset. Regroup.
Lock in.
I was thinking, how the fuck do I write a professional, well thought out, structured article on how frustrating these guys made me? And I kind of want your guys' opinion on this. Do I do a 2-part article on the management and then one on the players, or do I do one all together where it's just one big thing?
I'd say do one together.
Do one, yeah.
Just
Get it out of the way.
Just get it out there.
Oh my god, maybe I should, but I don't usually kind of go into like a Word doc before and structure my articles based off thoughts. I kind of just I start writing, I have an idea of where I want to go in my head, and sometimes it changes. But for this one, 9 years of failure where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I don't know how I can structure it where it's professional, because I have just been mad for 2 straight days. And I when we hang up on this call, we've been recording for like almost 2.5 hours. When we hang up from this call, I wanted to start writing, and I don't know if I can, because I am still I wanted to let it sit for a couple of days, because the thing is about these guys at The Athletic, I think none of them that cover the Leafs are Leaf fans. I think Myrtle, I think I remember Myrtle or Seagull saying, "Oh, I grew up in Vancouver, and my dad was a Canucks fan." Okay, well, we know who you cheer for now.
Yeah.
But as a Leaf fan, a guy who's grown up my whole life watching them, the pure anger, it's not even heartbreak anymore. It's just disappointment and anger.
Dude.
And it's like, how are you supposed to write an article when you just feel mad the whole time?
I think you can do it.
I think, when I had the idea, I'm like, this is going to be the greatest article I've ever written in my life. This is going to be this is going to be the piece of work that I'm the most proud of, because it has been something that I am 20 years old. 9 years of my life, this has been my favorite thing. 9 years of my life. The Toronto Maple Leafs have been and it's, yep. And
That's
even
how
before
long
that
logo was still.
Yeah. Even before the 9 years, like I said, I've been watching my dad. Yeah. Yeah.
5.
Hey.
Hold on.
Hey.
Hold on.
Yo,
You
wait.
want to give me one up real quick?
He's gonna fucking one up me. Seb's got one of these too.
Also, Rick Vive.
Hold
Your
on.
camera's not moving for me, but I believe you, because I know you have the exact
Hold
same
on.
picture. I got the puck.
It's not moving?
Hold on.
No, you're frozen for me. But I think
What?
I just geeked.
No, you're geeked.
Yeah, I see you now.
Hold on.
Same picture.
Okay.
I got the puck too.
All right. I'm ready.
What have you?
Dave Anderchuk. Okay.
Oh, that's
I know the camera's kind of flipped.
And,
Dave Anderchuk.
You know, me and
Okay.
Jacob went to this event at Scotiabank Arena with Rogers. That's where we got these, the Rick Vive.
I'm not done yet, by the way.
Ooh.
I also got my hat signed by him,
Yeah.
I didn't.
by Rick Vive. Nice hat too. It's like red trim.
Okay. I'm still going. Dave Anderchuk signed puck. Kind of just got lucky with this one. I went to like a sports memorabilia show. I bought a mystery puck. Ended up being Dave Anderchuk, which was pretty sick.
Nice.
Nice.
This was a Christmas gift from a family member he's big into collecting sports memorabilia. He's a Habs fan, and it makes me happy because he hates the Leafs, but anytime there's a Leaf legend that is at one of these work events where he's collects memorabilia, he has me and my brother in mind. Curtis Joseph signed.
Nice. Wow.
Same guy, same family member. This was a while ago he got me these. These were Daryl Sittler.
Nice.
The GOAT himself, Wendell Clark.
Who's
And
Gretzky, dude?
I had
What's
a
a
friend
Gretzky?
in elementary school who knew this guy, and this is the most random one that I have. And he knew I was a huge Leaf fan, so he went out and got it for me. Connor Brown.
Goat. That's goated.
Downtown Connor Brown.
Could he be back this year?
Hell no.
Dude, I just all that to say, it's been this iteration of the Leafs have taken up 9 years of my life, and it's finally over. And I don't know if I want to say finally. Yeah,
The picture of the chains broken.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to say finally because yeah.
It shouldn't have ended like this, man.
I don't know if I want to say finally because I don't know. Like, listen, we're gonna talk about this in the future, but one of the hardest parts I'm having with this is that I looked at the offseason and I'm like, what the fuck do you do with this roster? Like, what do you do?
I think I made a half decent team on my Puckpedia armchair GM.
Because listen, at the end of the day, as much as I don't like Mitch, losing him is going to hurt, especially in the regular season.
No, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
It's an 100-point player that's just not there. It's gonna hurt, and it's just like,
hey man, there's been crazier teams that have still succeeded, so I'm not too stressed.
I know, but dude,
the onus is gonna be on Nylander and Matthews cannot like slack up. Like they gotta.
It's their team.
But
now.
I'm not
They're
worried.
You gotta lock it in.
I'm not worried about that though. I gotta be honest. What I'm worried about is, I hate to say it because we were talking about how much we think he's done a good job. I am terrified of Brad Treliving having money to spend and going into this offseason and him having to build this team back up. And listen, the decor is locked up. Now, I would seriously consider if you could find a way, and I love this guy so much, and it hurts me so much to say this, but if you can move on from Mo, I think it might be time to look at that.
It's the issue is Mo has a full no move.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tricky, and finding a team to take that on.
Who would
and
take
then
that contract,
the thing is too is that like, yeah, Mo was disappointing this year, and I said this in my reaction to Game 7. It seems like him and Berube, in terms of like system wise, just don't mesh.
It doesn't fit.
Like he doesn't feel like it fits in the system. But I feel like losing Riley would be more significant in terms of like the impact to the D core than losing Marner to the forward core, because like you don't have somebody that can take those minutes and just like that's a tough thing to just make up. Like you don't have any young players in the system.
No, but the thing is,
you're not going to really get a
trade
young D-man back in a Mo trade, I don't think, because I think after the season he had, you're going to have trouble getting
moving that deal.
Equal value back for Mo.
Dude, I don't know who would take him. Like I'm
like that's what I'm saying. I think you'd have a very hard time getting equal value back from Mo in a trade right now.
And that kills me because Mo has always been like one of my favorite players on the Leafs, because he's been here for as long as I can remember. Like I think my first real
13 years at this point.
Dude, my first real memory of the Leafs is the start of this year, the playoffs against Boston in 2013. Like those were like the first moments where I could like distinctly point out and say I remember when that happened. I remember where I was for Game 1, where I think they lost 4-1 to Boston. I remember I think JVR scored the only goal in that game. I remember where I was for Game 7. I remember where I was when they forced Game 7. Like it's weird because it was 2013, so I was like I wasn't even 10 yet, but I still remember those moments because I remember partially how much my dad was into it, and I think for a lot of people his age that was huge, because it was like they haven't made the playoffs since 2004. Like you remember what those teams were like. They went on deep runs. Like they went to conference final, and for me I was like, oh my god, like this, like how like high pressure is, it was crazy. And then you don't get it forever, and Mo's there even when they're terrible. And Mo, and another moment for some reason I remember is when they clinched last place in the year that we were going to Larry to draft Matthews. I remember, I might be wrong on this, but I distinctly remember them losing to New Jersey and Joe Bowen saying on the radio, and they have clinched last place in the league. And then I remember them winning the draft lottery. And
I remember
every moment since then, I remember walking out of my hockey game and Matthews scored 4, and I was so like, we won our hockey game and I was fine. I was happy that we won, and then I talked to my dad after, and he's like, he scored 4 goals. And I'm like, he scored 4 goals? 4. And then they lost in overtime. And
I mean, that
it
might
feels
be
like
the mood setter for this whole era.
Yeah. And honestly, it truly feels like I don't even know if I can say it went downhill, because I feel like it just kind of flatlined. The moment that it went down, like the last time I remember being, actually that's not even fair, but I was saying ecstatic and hopeful for the team was after Bozak scored the OT winner against Washington, but that's not true, because I remember even last year when we lost to Boston, me and Seb were at the square and we lost our minds when in Game 6 Willie ices it, slides it past Swayman and his 5-hole.
Yeah.
In Game
I
7,
thought they were winning that series, man. He gets that goal in Game 7, and I'm like, holy
in Game
shit.
7, I was right beside Seb. We jumped on top of each other when Matthews feeds him the slot and he buries it. Beer all over the both of us. Maybe 2-3 minutes, like real lifetime passes, and it's over Sammy's shoulder into the back of the net. And what frustrates me is that they've always, Al Pacino and Godfather 3, when I think them out, they pull me right back in. And that's what it always was with them. And as much as I could say, oh, I didn't think they'd win, for some reason, these fuckers always grab me in Game 6. And they're like, you're fucking coming with us, and you're coming to Game 7.
Fool me
And
one
you-
time,
yeah.
shame on you. Fool me
Yeah.
twice, can't put the blame on you. Fool me 7 times,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
And they picked me up by the collar and said, you're fucking watching this Game 7. Sit the fuck down and watch the Game 7. Dude, I have 4 of those. And
Bring the pack.
every time I'm sitting there, I'm like, guys, just once ever, man. Once ever, win this game. Just please, once ever.
How many games
it is
does
always
it take
like-
to change your legacy?
Yeah. And it's always
That's
like,
what I said, dude. One game, you win that game, everything's erased. It's done. Everything is forgiven, and this team is beloved. I'm telling you right now, if they're in the Eastern Conference Finals right now, this team is loved. We're not having these discussions.
dude, you know what Game 7 felt like? It felt like, here's a steel toe boo, one last kick right in the dick.
Yeah.
And take that home with you, and you're going to think about that for the rest. Yeah, that's what that was.
You know what it felt like? It felt like I didn't know they showed reruns for playoff hockey games.
Yeah.
I've watched that game
But-
6 times.
Dude, I said to my brother, I think that was the most disappointed I've ever been in a Leafs playoff game, because I sat
no,
there,
100%, 'cause that's the most I believed in them.
and I felt
That's the worst one they
Dude,
played.
dude,
It was
I
the
felt
worst
like-
Game 7 they've played.
Dude, I was sitting there, and I felt like yelling at the TV, no, guys, stop, no, not again, please, not again, no, you can't do this. Because they built up so much goodwill with me where it was like, we don't blow leads anymore. We don't choke anymore. We lose games. If we lose them, fuck, it was a tough game. We'll have maybe one stinker, but guess what? We're coming right back, and we're going to put on a show the next game. And I sat there during Game 7, and I'm like, it's them again. It's them again. They're doing it again. For the 9th straight time, they're doing it again, and I can't believe it. So,
It's
We're
terrible.
all depressed now.
Yeah. Man. It's just
Dude,
pathetic. It's just pathetic. Hey, Chris Bassett had 6 strikeouts today.
I don't know, the Jays were up 3-0 last time I checked.
They blanked.
San Diego
3-0
you
East.
gotta shut up.
Padres. We're a Jays pod now. Blue
Eyes
Jays.
on
pod.
Jays.
How do you guys
Eyes
feel
on
about
Jays.
the Vladdy extension? We're a little late.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's a lot of money for a guy who's not very consistent.
Dude, it's so funny. My uncle
Someone
works
else
for Rogers.
is like that.
Dude, my
Oh,
uncle
I
works
wonder
for
who.
Rogers, and he says anytime the Jays spend money, there's like layoffs or something gets canceled. It's so funny. Like, it's actually hilarious. They cancel
You know what's
some
the most
event or
pathetic?
they like have some layoffs. Like,
You know what's the most pathetic thing about the Jays? It's that this team has one of the highest payrolls in baseball, and they're still incredibly mid.
oh my god, it's terrible.
Like
Sounds like
like
someone
you
else
could be
I
a
know.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is about the NHL is there's a salary cap, so everyone has to spend in and around the same thing.
You know what I want you guys to do next podcast?
I'm not doing it. I don't care what you say, but
I was gonna say,
what is it?
we each do what I did today, like a armchair GM, Puckpedia. We each do an armchair GM. Try and keep it semi-realistic. And we'll go over it next pod, and like we can branch into like what we think needs to be improved.
Yeah, I think by next pod we'll have a lot more of a clear picture too on
we can get maybe some other league stuff too, because we missed pretty much all of the first round,
dude.
Almost, or all of the second round we missed.
I'm gonna be so real. I had no desire to talk about the rest of the league right now. I am so disappointed and dejected with this team that I'm just
dude, and I'm so bored of the NHL now. Like I feel like we're the NBA. Like Oilers, Stars, Hurricanes, Florida. Holy ass conference finals. This is
3 out of 4 of the same conference final teams from last year.
Yeah, like
dude, the NBA and the NHL flipped. Like they've had 7 different winners in the last 7 years or something like that. And
I want to cheer for the Oilers. I don't want like Stars are still my cup pick, but
I'm a Dallas. I hate the Oilers. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too, but they're still the most.
I hate. You know what I hate?
I don't really want any of them to win.
I hate the Boston Pizza commercial where it's like, get on board for all Canadian teams. No, fuck off. If any other Canadian team on the top, I'd be pissed.
Stupidest narrative ever.
The only Canadian team that I would kind of be happy with is the Flames, and that's because like
they have cool jerseys.
Well, you guys know how like I loved the Flames teams with Johnny Gaudreau, Tkachuk, and Lindholm.
Yeah.
Like I loved watching those teams. I always had a routine every night where it was like Leaf game at 7, followed into the Flames or Oilers, and it was either you get to watch Connor McDavid or I get to watch my second favorite team in the NHL, because that Flames team was full of guys who would play their asses off, but they were also skilled and they would score, and they had goaltending with Markstrom and guys like Tanev on the back end who would block shots, and Gio
managed by Bradley Tree Living.
Yeah, but he also did
maybe Mateo's just a big Brad fan.
Dude, he also did completely fuck it up with the Huberdeau trade.
Okay.
What do you want the guy to do though? Like,
I stand by that.
At the end of the day, like he
move.
did, I stand by him. Like, what do you want the guy to do?
Tkachuk was gone.
Matthew Tkachuk goes up to him and
not sign the 8-year extension with Huberdeau before he even seems step foot in the Saddle Dome.
That's the move.
That's different. That's different. But I don't think the trade was bad. I think they still made out pretty well in that trade, all things considered. I don't think you could predict Huberdeau falling off of the face of the earth and being like a 50-point guy.
You know what? His point production got cut in half.
I don't think not a soul on this planet could have predicted that. And if you did predict that, you were like Eddie Brock and Spider-Man, where you're sitting at like church praying on this guy's downfall.
Give like that poor guy a line mate. Holy shit,
dude.
Okay, I gotta go.
Probably rap. We're talking about the Flames and shit.
I gotta go. Rambling. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello?
All right, I gotta wrap.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I hope you guys enjoyed the pod. We'll get back to you. Hope everyone's doing all right. Bye.